straight away come to the question. This is by Ramesh. What would be typical qualification and experience of a NRC member? Is there any qualification that you think? And that actually tops up with Anil's thing saying, should a member have PR skills?
I think this is a question a little bit beyond my pay grade, if I were to say, because I'm not the one who selects NRC. But I think what I look for, I can definitely mention. When I look at the NRC members, I definitely want them to be able to understand the business by virtue of being the members of the board, at least in one or two functional areas. So when I talk about diversity in the board, we are looking for people, at least in our business, someone who has worked in marketing, someone who has handle people at large scale, because people at scale is another skill that people learn when they handle larger organization. You don't get to learn that skill unless you have handled people at scale. So whether you have handled people at scale, marketing, and customer service, it's an extremely important area for us, whether it is in the resorts or whether it is in the. So if you have people of these kind of skills and who understand how much a reward and recognition can go in building an organization. If you think about Disney, how has Disney become what it has become? We know what is their secret sauce. It is the way they deal with their people, it's the way they recognize their people, it's the way they deal with customers. And every individual over there, okay, is designed to think like a customer. I know of a guy who joined as a chief financial officer in one of their companies. He had to act as a Mickey Mouse for 3 days in one of their parks. Okay, so he had to really understand how you really deal with the customers. And by the way, as a CFO, you would never want to be, you actually normally don't deal with enough customers, particularly in a B2C business. So here is my answer, that summary, that yes, you should have people with diverse skill sets who understand the business, because only then you can, satisfy some of the criteria that I was mentioning, which is in terms of creating the right culture and people and values, shaping the people and values, which is what the last 2 slides were.
So, question from Shalini: since you have been presenting to NRC and in a way reporting to the board, what is that one role NRC has played which has helped you and your business the most?
All right. One role which our NRC has played, which has helped me in the business, is whenever I have done hiring of the senior people in our company, I have definitely run past the 2 independent directors that we have on our board and at least 1 non-independent, just to get a sense as to whether the culture fit, whether the domain expertise. I really don't expect NRC to check. I'm very clear about it. In fact, if they would get into the domain area, I would actually in some manner say that, hey, this is something that you should leave it to us, because we have done our bit there. I would expect them to look at number 1, of course, the culture fit, and most importantly, if they know someone whom this guy has worked, can they do a ref check for me? I found ref checks has been a big help, because whenever I've gone to an NRC board member and he has said, hey, I know this company, this guy has worked there, I can check out on this guy. I said, please do it. It's a great help, because I also been doing a lot of informal ref checks. Can you help me? So to my mind, these are the areas where I have found NRC quite helpful.
Okay. Taking a cue from there, I mean, with great difficulty, you identify a candidate and place before the NRC. NRC rejects it. How good or bad you feel?
I was expecting this question. I don't know why. I got this feeling that, have I bitten myself, too much, or have I gone too far? I think this has been a fear in my mind always, that if I'm sending a selected candidate, in my opinion, he's selected. Okay, that's how he goes to the board. He doesn't go to the board unless he's selected by my team members and me. So here is the thing. The good news for me is that not a single candidate that has gone to NRC so far has been rejected by NRC. But I would be very disappointed. But I would take it, because I think this is what I really want. Because to my mind, NRC is a disaster check in any case. Yeah. And if they are able to pick up something which we couldn't pick up, that's a great help, because people mistakes, they are extremely costly. You lose, at least my thumb rule is, you lose 2 years from the time you get the guy to you to the time you take a decision finally. If the person doesn't work out, it's 2 years is the average time in India. particularly at the leadership level, because you need to give time.
Okay. Another question to you is, as a CEO, who communicates to you first about your succession planning, the promoter or the NRC? And how do you feel
So,
about
all right. So in our case, we have a very interesting model about succession planning because I'm a part of Mahindra Group. And so we have an Apex Talent Committee. Apex Talent Committee is headed by Anand and a few, Mr. Dubey was a part of Apex Talent Committee, by the way. So I, once a year, sit with the Apex Talent Committee and share the status of every leader, not just the performance, but also the traits and the issues, if any, emerging about the person, good, bad, ugly, whatever. It's a very candid discussion. And this is where, I try to align with the, let's say the group chairman and the group HR head. And this is where we begin to think and form views of the people. This is one of the most important interventions that happens at Mahindra Group. When it comes to my own succession, the real discussion again happens in the Apex Talent Committee, where I am candidly asked that who could be my successor, because in fact, I cannot enter the committee unless I have defined my successor. So my successor, in my eyes, is always presented before the Apex Talent Committee. Yeah, it could change. It need not be the same person over the years, but definitely that's something that is discussed in that committee. And that's one hour that we spend in a year is probably the most, let's say, valuable hour. And again, a similar level of activity we do with our NRC when the performance appraisals and the long-term incentives have to be paid out. I present in front of NRC the entire senior management team, how they have performed, how I see people, and how they think. Yes, with NRC doesn't ask me my succession. I think they do discuss behind closed doors, which I'm not aware of.
No, that's a very diplomatic answer. Okay, if that is the case, what runs in your mind? Rapid fire, guilt or fear?
So as far as I'm concerned, neither I'm guilty nor I'm fearful. You know why? Because the authenticity that Mr. Dubey was talking about, if you are thinking what you are saying, or rather, you say what you think and you do, what you say, I think you don't have to fear anyone. And I don't think you have to be guilty because you're not doing anything wrong ever anyway.
Perfect. I think, amazing. Yeah. And one question that I want to pick from Arun's address, actually, this is regarding your take on employee wellness and mental health, which is going to be the biggest challenge in the times to come. How are you going to take it to the NRC?
Okay. Here is something that I did about 3 months ago. In one of the meetings with NRC, this issue was discussed, that how are we thinking about, assisting our, team members, families as well as themselves. So before this issue could even come up to NRC's, let's say, some kind of discussion in one of those discussions. In fact, I was, of course, being closer to the people. We do a lot of town hall, we do a lot of communication exercises. I was picking this issue up. I actually presented to NRC. I said, listen, I'm going to start a helpline, a mental health related helpline, where you can actually raise any issue. It could be work related. It will be pure 100% anonymous. I found out in a set of people who are doing brilliant work on this, and I trusted them. And I said, listen, go ahead. We are not worried. Whatever comes out of it, anyway, this is anonymous, but we would like to know the patterns. The good news is that NRC immediately supported it. They didn't even ask me how much it's going to cost. I also didn't tell them how much it's going to cost, because if they don't ask, why do I tell? I anyway am responsible for my team. So I went ahead and did it. I just actually informed them. And the good part is that there is a good pickup. In the beginning, I was worried that good pickup means what? That people are having a lot of issues. But then the issues are coming to surface. That's the good part of it. And once they come to surface, I'm sure they get dealt with. That's the whole idea behind it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. In fact, if I had you for more time, I would have kept on asking you questions. Rapid fire, last question. Remuneration for you, is it given or taken?
So as far as I'm concerned, remuneration is, my fundamental view is that whatever remuneration is given, or I don't want to answer the given or taken part, but my answer is that as far as I am concerned, the value that I bring on the table has to be assessed by the NRC, and whatever value is seen by the NRC and my remuneration is fixed according, I'm perfectly fine with it. Reason? Because I definitely believe that there is definitely some wisdom out there which is able to understand what people like me are bringing to the table and how they should be valued. And I also understand that NRC, particularly in our case, is quite mindful and aware that the number one has to be obviously super motivated to be able to create, motivation ripples down the line. So I think they are extremely fair. They understand what's the market value of the individual. And to that extent, that is how I have been remunerated right from the time I joined.
Thank you so much, Kavinder. Thank you.